In this video, we're going to be going over the way by which the Romans counted their dates. And as always, there are going to be 3 embedded items, so be listening for that, but nevertheless, more importantly, understand the way that the Romans would express a particular date. Now, today's date in which I'm making this is March 17th. That is telling us that every single month, every single day of that month has a name. For example, today's name is the 17th. Tomorrow the name will be the 18th, and then so forth and so on. For the Romans, on the other hand, they only had 3 dates out of a month that actually had a name. And this is what we see. The first day of every single month is called the calendae. Calendae, nominative plural, calendarum, genitive plural. The day names in Latin only are always plural and only are always feminine. The 5th of every month they refer to as the nones or the noni, and then the genitive nonarum. Again, feminine and plural. Just happens to be first declension, first declension. 4 months, March, May, July, and October, the nones fell on the 7th instead of the 5th, but those are the only 4. Then the 13th of every month is what they would call the idus, iduum, which is, as we can see, 4th declension, and as usual, the noun that names the day is always plural. So when we look over here to our chart, you see calendae noni nonarum. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There are only 5 forms that it would have for both the calendae and the noni. Here in the 4th declension, it's 4th masculine / feminine. The word manus, the word domus is feminine, and now we have learned that the word idus, which is always plural, so it would be idus, iduum, idibus, idus, and idibus. Those are the only 3 days out of a Roman calendar that would actually have a name. Now, just for interest and ease, I'm going to go ahead and put our first declension feminine endings here that we will be using, which is long as and long is, because remember, they're always plural. You'll see why it's only accusative and ablative. And for a 4th declension, idibus, I've messed that up, there we are, idus and idibus for the ablative, and you'll see in a moment why we've used those. Now, there are 3 ways by which the Romans would express the date. First and foremost, you have to understand, though, that the days that have a name, the calends, the nones, and the ides, are nouns. And thus, the 12 months that you can see written are here are adjectives. And the adjective tells us which. For example, I was born on the calends, which means that I was born on the 1st. But there are 12 firsts throughout the year. So to indicate which calends, you would have to modify it with one of these month / adjectives. First and second, usaum, 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 is a 3rd declension. Usaum, 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 and September, septembris, septembre, October, octobris, octobre, November, novembris, novembre, December, decembris, decembre. By the way, it was the July calends upon which I was born. And that's our first word that will earn you the easy 100. Julius, I-U-L-I-U-S. Julius is your first word. Now, let's talk about the ways in which they can express the day. Way number 1. If the day in question falls on a named day, then what you will do in Latin is you take the day in question and the month that modifies it, and you put it in the ablative. And that makes plenty of sense, because think about how you translate ablatives. By, with, because of, from, in, on, at. So what I just said, I was born calendis. When you look at calendis in the ablative, you must say on the calends, but there are 12 of them. And so we take the adjective and we modify it, and there you have it. On the July calends. And when are the July calends? The 1st of July. Julius Caesar, 2 days ago, was the anniversary of his death. He was assassinated. Idibus. All we're doing is taking the ides, putting it in the ablative, And then which Ides was he assassinated on? Martiis, the March Ides. Let's take a random date. Let's go with August 5th. August 5th would be on the nones, because August is not one of the 4 months in which the nones fall on the 7th. So, when is August 5th? It's on the nones, nonis, in the ablative. And we're talking about the August nones. It is then Augustis. And that's how you express it if the day in question falls on a named day. Now, how many days out of the month does that take care of? 3. On the calends, which is 1 day, on the nones, which is 1 day, and on the ides. That brings us to the second way by which you can express a date. And that would be on the eve of a named day. Now, the eve means the day before. So if the day in question falls exactly 1 day before a named day, what you're going to do is that instead of what you've done here, which is take the day and the month and put it in the ablative, here what you're going to do is you're going to take the word predie, which literally means on the day before, and then you're going to put the day in question and the month in the accusative. And now you can see why the accusative forms of kalendas, nonas, and the accusative form of idus are the ones that I've written up here to have handy. So let's talk about, for example, Halloween. Halloween falls not on one of these days, but Halloween does fall on a day immediately before one of these days. And which day does Halloween fall before? It falls before the calends. So you would use here predie, and then you would take the calendae and you put it in the accusative. Now what I have here so far merely says on the day before the calends. The problem is that there are 12 calends out of the year. So which one is Halloween? October 31st? Well, that is the day before the November calends. And so it would be Novembres. Now, why am I going with Novembres? Remember, September, October, November, and December are all third declension. So therefore, it has third declension ending. Let's take the birthday of my father. My father was born on December 12th. Does December 12th fall on one of these days? No. But it does fall on the day before one of these days. It falls on the day before the Ides, because December is not one of the 4 months. And so my father's birthday, December 12th. Predie. Idus. Again, predie requires its object to be in the accusative. There it is, idus, as a fourth declension noun. But this merely means all the day before the Ides. That's 12 different days out of the year. So which one for my father? December. Decembres. Lastly, let's say we take, I don't know, May 6th. May 6th. Now, does May 6th fall on one of these days? No. But it does fall on the day before one of these days. And which one? The nones. Because remember, for May, it is one of the 4 months for whom the nones fall on the 7th. So May 6th will be translated as into Latin predie nonas. Again, this just merely means on the day before the nones. That could be any of the nones, all 12 of them throughout the year. But which one are we talking about if it's May 6th? We're talking about the May nones, in which this is a first and second declension adjective. Maias. That is the second way by which you can express it. The first way, if it falls on the day itself. Put the day and the month in the ablative. Second way, you use the word predie if it's on the day before, and you put the day and the month in the accusative. This now takes place, or takes care of, 6 days out of a month. That leaves 24 to 25 days. Now your second word for the embedded quiz is predie. There it is, P-R-I-D-I-E, predie. The third way is for all other days. Now remember, this was October 31st, this was December 12th, and this was May 6th. Let's come up with some different dates. Let's first come up with today, March 17th. Let's also come up with, I don't know, Groundhog Day, February 2nd. And let's go for a third day. Let's go for, how about July? Let's go for July 9th. I don't know why, July 9th. Now, each one of those days do not fall on a named day. So it ain't process number one. None of them fall on a day before a named day, so it's not process number two. Instead, we go to the third. What you will do is, if the day in question does not fall in one of the first two categories, you have to count to the next day that's going to fall. And you will use the expression ante diem, that you can abbreviate AD. You will then put in Roman numerals how many days before the next day that is going to fall, and then you put the day and the month of the day that you're counting to in the accusative. So let's start with the middle one of February 2nd. So does February 2nd fall on one of these days? No. Does it fall on a day before one of these days? No. So what we're going to do is we're going to count to the next day that's going to fall. So what's the next day that's going to arrive after February 2nd that actually has a name? The knowns. February 5th, remember? For February, it's not one of these four, so its knowns fall on the 5th and not the 7th. So what you do is you put down ante diem, and now we're going to count. Now this is the absolute key. The Romans always count inclusively, which means that they always include the date that they are starting on and the date that they are counting to. So, you cannot simply say, okay, so we're counting to the 5th of February, the knowns, 5 minus 2, that's 3. No. Instead, you have to count starting on February 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th. IV. Then, this is indicating the 4th day before, and remember we're counting to the knowns of February in the accusative. So what this literally translates as the 4th day before the February knowns. What are the February knowns? That's the 5th. So what's the 4th day before the knowns? 5, 4, 3, 2. That date right there is February 2nd. Let's do July 9th. Does July 9th fall on one of these days? Nope. Does it fall on a day before one of these days? Nope. So we're going to have to count to the next day that's going to fall. So on July 9th, what is the next named day that's going to occur? Well, that'd be the July Ides. Now, is the July Ides Ides 13th or the July Ides Ides 15th? Well, July is one of those four that take as its Ides the 15th and its nodes the 7th. So we're going to be counting to the 15th. So again, ante diem, We are counting to, we just said, the Julyides. So Idus in the accusative. Julias. Why is Julias modifying Idus? Because it might be fifth, or I should say fourth declension, plural. But remember, all the named days are feminine, feminine, and feminine. So let's count. And remember, how did the Romans count? Inclusively. And so, we're starting on the 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th, 13th, 14th, 15th, 7th. V-I-I. So how would this translate? The date in question is the 7th day before the Julyides. And what is the 7th day before the Julyides? Well, if the Julyides is on the 15th, the 7th day before would be 15, 14, 13, 12, 11, 10, 9. That's the 7th day before. So let's do one more, March 17th. So again, this one is February 2nd. This one is July 9th. And now we're going to do the day on which I'm making this video, March 17th. Does March 17th fall on one of these days? Nope. Does it fall on a day before one of these days? Nope. So we're going to have to count to the next day that's going to fall. So on March 19th, what is the next day that's going to fall? That'd be the Calends. So here we put Calends in the accusative. But even though we're talking about March 17th, which Calends fall next? That'd be the April Calends. April 1st is the next day that actually is named. So we have to make sure that it is, we are counting to the April Calends. Don't make that mistake, students often do. Apriles. Why is it long ES? Because it is a third declension adjective. So we count inclusively. Now this is the point that you have to know whether a month has 30 or 31 days. An easy way to do this is to hold in front of you your right hand 4 fingers. Start with your pinky and start with the months. And if you are at the top of the finger, 31 days. If you're at the bottom, not 31. January, February, March, April, May, June, July, start over. August, September, October, November, December. People do it with their knuckles in the exact same way. That's how you can remember. If it's at the top, 31. So in a calendar year, the only 2 months that go back to back with 31 days are July and August. Every other one alternates. And of course we all know that February, 28 or 29 days, if it is a leap year. So, March, how many days? 31. And you got to count inclusively. Just to review, 31, 28 or 29, 31, 30, 31, 30, 31, 31, 30, 31, 30, and 31. It's convenient to remember how many days are in a particular month. Just memorize it. There's no need for this sort of nonsense. You just memorize stuff. Nevertheless, so, here it is that we're going to count inclusively, starting on the 17th. So, March 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, and the first. Count inclusively. So that was 16. X, V, I. The 16th day before the April Calends is what we call March 17th. And in that way, obviously, the expression of the Romans can be converted from our expression to theirs and then backward. Because when I look at this and I say the 16th day before the April Calends, you just simply count 16 back from April 1st. The 1st, 31st, 30th, 29, 28, 27, 26, 25, 24, 23, 22, 21, 20, 19, 18, 17. Do you see how that is then 16th day before April Calends? But you have to count inclusive, and that is your third and final item. You must always count inclusive. meaning you include the day upon which you start and the day to which you are going. Learn your dates.